Evening, everybody. All the usual sound checks and so forth. Game is up and running, but it's not making any sound yet, hence why you can't hear it. And I'm joined by amazing Jamie.
Hi everyone.
Can you let me know if you can hear Jamie okay, hear me okay, and when the game makes noise, hear the game okay? How you doing, Jamie?
Yeah, fine, thanks. And yourself?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. So, this is Workshop Wednesday, and the idea of Workshop Wednesday, if you've been living under a rock and recently crawled out, is that I've trawled through a little bit of Steam Workshop. I've found something. Jamie found the route today, and we basically run trains. That's what we do here, isn't it, Jamie? Yeah, it's all about trains. So tonight we are looking at two routes. We are looking at BR's ECML. We almost had sound. Right, did you hear sound? Let me know if you heard sound. So we're looking at BR's ECML London to Peterborough, which is a version of the East Coast Mainline South route, but it's been regressed back to Steam days, which is pretty cool. There's all sorts of extra stuff and changes on here, which make it rather interesting. Let's go back down to King's Cross. So you've got all of the loco works over here. Got the gasworks tunnel there. There's signalling has been changed. There's even this old signal box. Whoops. This signal box isn't in the original route. This was a new one. Yeah. And then there's the platforms over here, which I don't think were in the original route either. So there's lots of changes throughout the entirety of the route, and I have a suspicion that the bit where HS1 comes across has been removed as well. So there's all sorts of nice changes. Obviously, there's lots of other bits and pieces around the route. This route is by Simon MD, so full credit to Simon. And I'm going to be running the A4. Obviously, the Mallard. We're on the London King's Cross to Peterborough on the East Coast Main Line. Yeah. So, before we get started, you've driven steam trains on here before, haven't you, Jamie?
Oh, I have, yeah.
Once or twice. Do you know the trick for finding out the ideal fire mass?
I do not know, actually. That's one thing I haven't learned. Nope. Right,
so I've talked about this a couple of times, but this is one of those tricks that is so useful and really makes driving a steam train a lot easier. So if you've got the HUD up like this, you can. Yeah. The first trick is F4 to turn that HUD off. If you've got this HUD on, then F3 to turn this HUD off, and use F4 and F3 to switch between the two. So now you know how to turn the HUD off. You now need to press the F5 key to get the text in the top left corner of the screen up there. And a couple of those numbers you'll see there are the fire mass, which is currently £843, and the steam generation rate. Let me put them on a slightly better contrast. Hopefully you can read them.
Yeah.
Steam generation rate is currently around 2300. What does steam generation rate mean? It doesn't matter. It's sciencey stuff that just makes the simulation work. The point is, more steam generation rate, more steam being built. More steam usage rate, more steam being consumed. And what you really want is more steam generation rate and less steam usage rate equals big boiler pressure. And if you find it going the other way round, that equals low boiler pressure equals stopped train. So, ideal fire mass. Why is it important? It is the more coal you put in, which is what the fire mass is. The more it will generate steam, so the steam generation rate will go up. But it doesn't work. It's not just more coal equals better. You've got to find the right amount of coal, because too much coal smothers the fire, and actually it ends up being worse off, quite significantly worse off. So that's where we get this term of the ideal fire mass from. So at the moment, you can see our steam generation rate is around 2360, and we're running at £838. So if I put the HUD up and put the coaling on, press F4 and we look back again, you can see the fire mass is now going up, and you can see the steam generation rate is now going up. So now what we do is we wait, and we wait, and at some point that steam generation rate will go down because it's a triangle. Yeah. So as they add coal up, so if you're coaling levels across the bottom, as you add coal, so the steam generation rate goes up. When you hit the ideal fire mass, it will then start going down the other side, and what you're looking for is that peak. And if you then, once you know what the peak is, you know how much is too much coal, and then you know if you're going to hit a bank or something like that, or you're hauling a heavy load, you know what to bring it up to make sure you're getting the absolute best out of the steam engine. So at £888, it's still going up. We'll give it a minute. That hissing that you hear every now and again is the safety valve.
Yeah.
I'm saying that I know you know what a safety valve is.
Mustn't blow off in platforms. Not good.
No, we don't want to do that. I don't care about that. I barely stop at platforms, so especially on this route. And if we will be skipping Nebworth on this route, folks.
Yeah.
Nebworth will not be getting stopped out on this route. Real trains don't stop at Nebworth. It's official. Especially if they're BR Blue 47s, but that's a different story entirely. Right, £924 on the fire mass. We're still going up. It's a little bit of a trek to get to it. I know where the fire mass is because I checked it, so I know where we're going. So while we're waiting, anyone got any questions? Anything coming out on the chat? Did I have a good holiday? I did have a good holiday. Thank you very much, Paul. Played lots of VR games and, well, basically watched lots of telly. It's kind of what you do on holiday, isn't it? It was a staycation.
Staycation. Yeah.
We're getting there, slowly but surely. So there's two things to manage on a steam engine. One of them is the fire mass, one of them is the water. Water you can put in, it doesn't really matter how much you put in as long as you've got enough in there. Too little water equals explodey, bomb. And too much water on some steam engines can have quite bad, but generally non-fatal problems or side effects. Which it's called priming, where you'll just like, for example, Victory Works steam engines, you'll see water blasting out of the blast pipe up the front here, which is hilarious and highly embarrassing.
It can be very dangerous because you can blow the cylinder caps off if you're not careful.
Yeah. Yeah, in reality, there are also none of these tips are for driving a real steam engine, folks.
Oh no!
Right, okay, so I missed it. So the steam generation rate is now going down. And we're over there. Yeah, so what actually happened there was that at around £1,000 fire mass, we hit the peak. So the ideal fire mass for this locomotive is £1,000. That's not the case for all locos. So if you do that test the first time you use a new loco, work out what the ideal fire mass is, and you'll go into it being able to get this locomotive up to the maximum power it can do.
Yeah.
Right. And so ends the lecture. Let's move forward. The other thing you must make sure you do not do is open the fire door when you're going into a tunnel.
Yeah.
That equals burns.
Yeah.
That is a blowback. It is a fatal blowback. There is just no good thing that happens when you do that. And that covers for the entire duration of while you're in the tunnel. In reality, I think sometimes don't they use the blower to when they're in the tunnels as well?
I think they do, yeah.
But I don't think that actually is captured in the sim. That doesn't really help in the sim. Right. Let's get going.
Yeah. It's nice they've added in all the original posters and everything, and all the original London buses. It's brilliant.
Let me just turn the sound down on the game, because I think it's drowning everything out.
Yeah.
Right. It's not drowning me out now. I'm losing my ability. I can think now, which is good. So yeah. Jamie needs turning up. No, the game needed turning down. Just, I know I'm being a pedant at this point, but it's better. Get us back under the limit. Right, Gasworks Tunnel is interesting because it goes up quite a steep incline, which is always an interesting challenge to get out. Particularly for heavy trains coming out in the wet. It won't be any challenge for us because it's dry, and 7 coaches is pretty light for one of these things, to be honest. Yeah. So pop quiz for Jamie. What came after the A4s? What was the next racehorse that came after the A4s?
Well, probably... I mean, it's basically the Deltic, really, if you look at it. It's the Deltic. Yep.
Yeah, that was pretty much the next main thing that came after the A4s.
Yeah. I mean, you had the Thompson rebuilds of the A1s and
Yeah, there was all sorts of interim things, weren't there? Yeah.
Yeah. A22s.
Right, there we go. So there's a couple of things I'm managing as we're driving along here. One of them is the cutoff, and you want to keep bringing that as you accelerate. You don't think about that as a forwards backwards. Yes, it's forwards backwards, but it's a variable control, and it controls how much steam makes it into the cylinders at the front. As the cylinders are going, the pistons are going backwards and forwards, it's letting steam in, and what the cutoff does is controls at which point in the cycle it lets the steam in. Why does it do that? A couple of reasons. One of them is efficiency. The other one is that if the cylinder goes all the way this way and fills with steam and then wants to go all the way that way again, it's got to get rid of all of that steam, and actually that ends up working against what you're trying to do. It starts actually hindering you. It slows the loco down or stops accelerating. So by putting the steam in a reduced section of the cycle, you get more efficient use of smaller amount of steam, and can go super fast. Again, 30 miles an hour. Speed limit 65. This should be greens all the way. I did want to run a scenario. Jamie found a cracking scenario by the author of this, but it doesn't work. I don't know what's gone wrong there.
And obviously with the A4s, you've obviously got streamlining to make it go even faster.
It's one of the only streamliners that kept its streamlining, isn't it?
Yes. Yep.
Because most of the others lost them, because you've got the rebuilt merchant navies. You've got which have just looked like normal, quotes, unstreamlined steam engines. The Coronations, they lost them as well, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Coronations lost them.
Normally,
Duchesses, yeah.
Yeah. And then there was a B17, which looked like an A4 as well, but it just didn't have the other bogey.
And then they did that. The one that the people that did the Tornado are making a preservation of as well, aren't they? Prince Charles.
Yeah.
They that I can't remember the name of.
P2.
P2. That's it.
You got two different versions because you've got the like weird shape one and the A4 shape nose.
Oh, sorry. Yes. And then there's two groups actually making them. One of them is making them with standard running gear, and the other one's making them with the correct running gear for the P2, which is a maintenance nightmare. And there's a reason they stopped using it, but authenticity.
Yeah.
Right, we're getting up a bit of speed now.
Yeah, the only thing the A4 lost was the balances.
Yes, because of maintenance.
Yeah.
That's better. We're keeping the boy. We can still even going this fast. We've still got the safeties going off. That's just because we really shouldn't have pumped up to full fire mass when we're sitting in King's Cross Station. But it's the easiest way to show it, because once you get going, your steam generation rates will be all over the place, depending on dampers and all sorts of other things. So it's much better to do it, to demonstrate it stationary, and for you, when you're practicing it yourself, to evaluate that as a stationary thing, because there's no other variables playing in.
Yeah. Passing shot.
Got to be, really.
Yeah. Alexandra's asked, recommend a book on British steam. Oh, there's quite a lot of different British steam books. It depends on what you want to learn. If you want to learn about classes and different railways related to the classes, but then there's all sorts of different ones where you've got separate to routes as well. So you learn the history of the British route. But yeah, there's all sorts of British steam books out there.
Yeah, if you don't know anything about steam, then try and pick something which sort of covers broad topics. But yeah, if you've got particular things like particular regions or types of locos, then go ahead and try and find books specific to those things. And if you do have specifics, ask the chat. I'm sure the people in the chat will be able to help you.
Yep. Yeah. So like the A4, for example, is an Eastern region loco, and of the L and the R.
Right, pop quiz. Where am I?
Alexandra Palace.
Yep.
Alley Valley.
The big radio tower and the palace.
Yeah.
So, but back in the before times, we used to do model railway exhibitions there.
Yeah.
Well, we used to go to the model railway exhibition there, the London Festival of Model Railways. One day, when such things will happen again.
Good exhibition as well, actually.
Hey, Ali Palio's a very good exhibition there.
Yeah.
Train quiz for future stream. I've been thinking about that actually. I think that would be quite fun. I think that would be a lot of fun to put a train quiz together where people can join in with their mobiles and vote in their answers and things like that.
Is it Tour Deck? So Jamie's also a railway geek. Yes, I am a railway geek.
He has a kindred spirit.
Yeah. I've been a railway volunteer for 13 years now. So.
Which railway do you volunteer at?
North Norfolk Railway.
Very nice.
So I've had the opportunity to drive, plenty of the locos there. So B12, 9F, Standard 4, things like that. I'm mainly a ticket inspector, mainly.
Sorry?
I'm mainly a ticket inspector on the train.
I do like the that one. It's a nice railway.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you've got like the best of both worlds, because you've got a very scenic route, but then you've got countryside as well and heavy gradients.
Yes.
Yeah.
DTG needs geeks. Everywhere needs geeks. Make the world go round. Problem is, at the moment, at this speed, with the throttle regulator wide open, I'm struggling to get any more coal in.
Yeah, because it goes straight at you.
Now I'm going at night, and these tunnels that keep turning up are not helping.
No.
I'm just about managing to get water going in faster than I can get rid of it as well. Chuck it out the roof. If you want to practice and evaluate and see how good you are at driving this one, I don't know if you're aware of this scenario, Jamie, but on London Brighton, which is where the scenarios for this pack actually come from, one of the scenarios there is a speed test.
You need to do that one.
So the idea is that you drive from London Victoria to Brighton, and as you come through Clapham Junction, it pops up a box saying time starts now.
Yeah.
And it starts recording your maximum speed that you've achieved and the time at which you pass Clapham Junction.
Yeah.
It will then you then have to basically leg it, and the instructions say you're allowed to ignore speed limits, but it's up to your discretion to drive safely.
Yeah.
And you need to get to Brighton as fast as possible. The challenge there is there are 2 or 3 points where you have to slow down. This is a really great station to train spot at, by the way. Really great train station to spot at.
Oh, well, what one's that? I'll have to go there.
No, now you're asking. Harold Wood, is it? Not Harold Wood. Harold Wood? Hadley Wood, sorry. Hadley Wood.
Hadley Wood.
Yeah, it's a cracking station. Because they come thundering out of the tunnel, and it gives you some really nice videos. My son captured actually a Deltic blasting through there. It was brilliant.
Lovely.
I close firebox doors in tunnels. Since when? It doesn't happen. I don't kill myself that often in steam trains, Toilet. You boil yourself alive the once, and they never let you go. Hey, at least it's got water in it, you know. One of my first streams that I did when I started streaming about 6 years ago, when I hadn't realised how much I'd forgotten about driving steam trains. was how to drive a steam train. During which I forgot to put water in it and blew it up.
Oh, oops.
Yeah. So, top marks. Oh.
Stevenage yet. I don't think we've passed Stevenage yet.
No, we haven't even got to Nebworth.
No.
Where's that? Welwyn Garden City. So Welwyn Garden City, then we've got Nebworth, and then this is Stevenage up here, yeah, where the loop joins back in again. Yeah. It won't be long though. Right, I'm gonna kill the throttle a bit and let the boiler pressure come back up. 105 will do.
Yeah. Cruising speed.
Well, it's coming up at a rate of knots. It also means everything else will come up nicely, which means that I can go through Nebworth at the appropriate speed, which is as far from zero as possible. So yes, the London Brighton speed test. That's what I was saying. So yeah, you get basically there's a couple of points, so you have to slow down because the turns are quite sharp, and it becomes a strategy then of how you slow down, practicing how fast you can get away with it. One of my runs, and I definitely don't approve of this kind of behaviour, but one of my runs I went round it on with the wheels off. And it came back and it landed, and I'm like, oh, that doesn't happen very often. Normally, the minute the wheels are off, you're done for. But it only came off briefly and came back on again. Like, okay, I might have found out the right speed to do that then.
Yeah.
And then when you get to Preston Park, just before Brighton, it stops the countdown. You then have from Preston Park to Brighton to stop.
Wow.
Now, you could have slowed down beforehand. It's up to you. But most people would be looking to try and gain as much speed as possible to keep their time as fast as possible. Yeah. Which means that they will be gunning it through Preston Park. And the time doesn't count if you crash at Brighton. So you have to stop. Yeah. It's really good fun. And there's a part, Moggy's just actually pointed out, we've got on my Steam group, we've got a thread where people have tried all kinds of different locos on there just by swapping the loco out, and compared all the different speeds and strategies and all sorts of things for these things. It's fascinating. It's really good fun.
Do we know what the record is?
Moggy, go and have a look, see what the record is. Please.
Because I remember the pack coming out was when they met, all the A4s met, didn't they? I think that was when the pack originally came out.
Say that again, sorry, Jamie.
That was when the pack originally came out, wasn't it? When the A4s all met.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to find the cut-off that still gives us a bit of power. Right, so where is that fateful station? There's Welwyn North. Nebworth is just after it expands back out again. There it is. Why does it sound like a diesel? Steam trains doing 105 miles an hour do sound a bit like a diesel, to be honest, because they are beating. What's this one? 3-cylinder? This one?
It's 3-cylinder.
Yeah, 3-cylinder. So it's 3 beats per rotation. And you've got to imagine it's rotating quite a lot. So that's why it sounds like a diesel.
Because it'll be more of a consistent sound rather than one, like,
So apparently the A4 reached 129.78 on that test. And someone else managed to get the FEF3 A across the route, which is quite impressive, and they managed 121.59 miles an hour. That's amazing.
It's fantastic.
And the slowest loco was the LMS 3F at 59.34 miles an hour, but they were 59.34 glorious miles per hour.
Yeah.
I love that 3F. It is one of my favourite locos in any train simulator.
Really? Do you think it's your favourite steam loco? If you could choose like a steam loco that you could, like in real life or anything, you choose.
No, my favourite steam locos are the A4 and the 9F.
Ah. Mine's George Stephenson Black 5. George Stephenson.
Yeah, Black 5's nice.
Yeah. But I like George Stephenson because it's got that uniqueness of the outside valve gear, Stephenson's valve gear,
Yes.
which gives it that different beat.
And we're in the tunnel. Yeah, and we're in the tunnel. And we're back in the tunnel.
There's quite a few along this section.
So I've got a bit of an oddity to look at after this route. It's an Australian route.
It's an Australian route?
It's an Australian route, yeah.
Why is it Australian?
Sorry, what was that?
Why is it an Australian route?
Why is it an Australian route? Because it's different, and I like different.
Ah.
And it's a really good route as well.
Yeah.
So it's one I've had a look at. In fact, this is a newer version of it that I'd not actually seen before. So I thought, oh, well, this is a good opportunity to... Now, we'll be abusing it with a BR Blue 105 or BR Green 105 because, sadly, I don't have any Australian locos to put on it.
Yeah. The infamous Nebworth.
The infamous Nebworth.
And now you're in the semaphore section now.
Be here in a minute. Is the Australian route upside down? No. No. Train's held on by magnets. Don't know what's gone on with the sound. I appear to have lost sound.
Oh.
Or a chuffing I've lost, anyway. Never mind.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 111 miles an hour.
Yeah.
50 miles to go. Water's looking good. Boiler pressure is sort of tanking, but yeah, that's fine. We're doing 112 miles an hour. Would slip coaches be hard to make in TS? Currently, yes, in either TS and TSW, because only the player train gets physics. Which means the minute you cut loose the slip coach, I think the only thing it can do... The way TS World works is it retains its physics until it stops, so technically that might be possible. But I'm not quite sure how you would make that work logistically if you're driving the loco. I guess if you were in the coach and you had some way you could reach over and unhook the coupling, that would be weird. Then, yeah, fundamentally easier in TSW, says that. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, you probably could possibly make it in TSW, but in TS, pretty much the minute you uncouple it, all it can do is stop, and fairly quickly at that. In fact, the minute you leave the ribbon that it's on, it immediately loses all its physics and comes to an insta-stop.
Red Scavenger 31. Have you ever seen, heard, or driven a German steam loco, a steam train? Well, I've seen German steam, and I've been on the footplate of German steam. Actually, I can't remember the name of the preserved railway it was on, but it was on the Swiss-German border.
Oh, very nice. Do you know which loco it was?
Not off the top of my head. Can't remember. I think it was a 282 or 284. I think. Have you been German steam?
No. I've seen very little actually from German stuff at all. I've been to Germany 3 or 4 times, and seen comparatively little in the way of of trains in general, particularly not steam,
Yeah.
which is a great shame.
Yeah. There's some really nice museums and heritage railways, like the Harz Mountains, things like that.
There's something about the French and the German steam engines because they put all of the pipes on the outside.
Yeah.
They just look so much, really, really interesting.
Yeah. Well, I've had a rail tour behind Mikado in Switzerland, the SNC Mikados. Wow, just the noise those things make. Just is wow. It's like you hear it before you see it, a long way off.
You mentioned slip coach. Someone mentioned slip coaches earlier on. Other people may not actually. Do you want to explain to viewers what a slip coach actually does? Because it's horrifying if you have no idea. The very idea of it is absolutely terrifying.
Terrifying, yeah. So basically, a slip coach, mainly designed by the Great Western, really.
Like all the best things.
Yeah. They basically had a separate. I would probably call it a brake coach on the train, a separate brake coach. Basically, the couplings, you'd have basically a lever would pull one of the couplings off, and basically the coach would run under the momentum of what the train was into the platform. So you'd have a branch train sitting on the side, and just the coach would free roll into the platform with a guard just braking the coach to make sure it didn't smash into the branch train.
So let's just summarise that really quick. So what basically happens is you have an express train doing 70 miles an hour, which uncouples its rear coach, but runs away, leaving it behind. The rear coach then stops, hopefully, in the platform, hopefully without hitting anything, and hopefully also without stopping in the wrong place too early. They actually had to have a tank engine on standby to rescue it if it stopped too early, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, I think there's photographs where there was such instances where that happened, and you can just see them all standing around there like, oh dear.
It's a great idea. What could possibly go wrong with it? Yeah, just you say that, Ed. I think it's fascinating from an operational perspective.
Yeah. It would be great fun to do.
But can you imagine filling in the health and safety form for that one?
Oh, in this day and age, blimey. It'd be a long one, wouldn't it? Imagine the one for TPOs, just let alone,
Oh, yeah. Because they never went wrong.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen the travelling post office stuff, Victory Works actually has an add-on for TS on Steam, which is, I think it's part of the Saint, if I remember rightly. Great Western add-on, which gives you fully working travelling post office coaches, which is absolutely stunningly done. Really, really good.
I'll have to, yeah. I've seen I must have been when I've been in the Great Central. You do see the TPO runs. I think I've seen some of the bags fall off before they've reached. I've seen that happen before.
TPO, Travelling Post Office, Mikosh, Travelling Post Office. So the idea was that you'd have the mail service would actually be on a train, and rather than stopping, they would actually have a scoop out when the bags would be up on a big arm, and it would as it flew past at 60 miles an hour or whatever, it would scoop up these bags and drop off other bags out of a net into a waiting basket, so that effectively this train would just be blasting on down the line, picking up mail from that area, dropping it off, and then they were literally at the staff on the train sorting it out, getting ready for the next one that had to be dropped off. Yeah. Amazing stuff.
Yeah, the places you can see it run in Great Central, the Nene Valley, and the Didcot Railway Centre. They all have operational TPOs.
Oh wow. Wasn't that long ago they stopped the travelling post office service, wasn't it? Because up till recently it was 325s or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, it was. The TPOs finished a while back, but the
mail trains
themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, have you done the mail rail in London where you go underneath in the
No,
mail?
one of actually Adam, who does the preserved collection on TSW2, he went down there and he showed us his pictures from that.
Yeah,
It looks fascinating.
yeah. They actually have a little a game you can play with the travelling post office. So you've got to sort the letters out while the floor is shifting. So it's quite fun trying to get it. You know, that is quite fun.
124 miles per hour.
Perfect.
Got another little pop quiz for you.
Okay. Yeah.
The Mallard, what's it famous for? This is the easy question.
Yeah. So the record speed holder of 126 point. It's a point something, isn't it? I can't remember
It's
what
definitely point something. Yeah.
I can't remember the point something.
Not me either.
Uh,
And I'm going to throw this one out to everybody as well.
Yeah.
What's the second record it broke that day? It actually broke 2 world records that day. And the second one, the one nobody knows about or realises, was actually one of the most significant things that happened in British Railways.
Oh, that's something I didn't actually know.
No, a lot of people, and I didn't either until a good friend of mine, who's a signalling expert from the Rail Railways, explained it to me. So what happened was that, braking steam speed, there you go, exotic. It was about how fast it could slow down. So the whole point of the exercise wasn't just to see how fast it could go, that was the fun bit. The actual job was, so the railways at that point were generally 100 miles an hour. The East Coast Main Line was a 100 mile an hour railway, and they wanted to see if they pushed it to 125, could trains stop with the normal sighting distances of the signals. So they basically got the driver to push it up to 125 or whatever he could get it up to. And, I'm speeding. Excellent. Push it up to whatever he could at the point which was the steepest downhill. So everyone, a lot of criticisms raised about the Mallard and its speed record because it was downhill. Oh, well, that's the easy way to break a speed limit, isn't it? But that was actually the worst possible point to do the braking test, which is why they were interested to do it. Put everything against the train. This was also trialling the new Westinghouse brakes, if I remember rightly, was what they were actually specifically trying. And the objective was, if you see the adverse aspects are up ahead, can you slow down? And so they picked a point at the steepest part of the drop after Grantham, and dropped all the anchors and slowed down so fast that they didn't have to re-signal the entire East Coast Main Line. It was tremendous, and the outputs from that test actually benefited all over Europe and all sorts of places. It's quite phenomenal. It's 2 world records, and the second one about braking, the one that no one knows about or realises or remembers, is actually really important for the railway developments in the UK.
I know apparently that the bearings all went kaput on them.
Oh yeah.
Once
it
funny
stopped.
because I can remember there was a post, I think it was at Castell Oil, put up, we put the bearing oil in Mallard, and everybody just put on the bottom, but the bearings failed.
Yeah. Yes, with the dynamometer coach. You can see in the Mallard and the dynamometer coach are at the National Railway Museum as well.
Yeah.
Which, if you haven't been to, as and when you can, I don't even know if it's open again yet. It's well worth a visit. The NRM is fantastic. They just opened the Great Hall. This big this area they've modelled up as a big station. There's some really good stuff in there as well. So it's actually a fair bit bigger than it used to be.
Yeah. There's all sorts of locos in there from the early days up to brand new.
Yeah. Yeah, Eurostar is in there.
Yeah.
They've got one of the Eurostars were preserved for there. There are some interesting cab mock-ups from things like the 800s are up there, and HST mock-up is in there.
Yeah. Yeah, and the dynamometer coach is actually older than most of the locos that have hauled it, basically, for speed trials. Because if you look at the dynamometer car and you look at the coaches that were behind Mallard at the time, it looks a lot older.
Yeah, I mean, the dynamometer car looks ancient.
Yeah.
It
It
looks
looks,
like
and you sit there, you sit it behind the Mallard, and you think that did 125 miles an hour without falling,
yeah.
without falling apart. You know.
Christ says, announcement for a National Railway Museum. It's open, but contact them for a place. COVID. Okay, so they're running essentially. Well, it sounds like it's like a free ticket operation because the NRM is free to visit with a donation at your discretion. But it sounds like they want you to register in advance just so they can manage how many people are in at any one time, which makes good sense. Looks like the Mallard needs serious repairs after the record. Oh yeah, it was shot to bits, Geek Mode. So absolutely shot to bits. But you know, you got to imagine they took it way beyond its specifications for that test.
Yeah. Although they believe there was a lot of speculation, if you remember, after when the events were on, when the anniversary was, that apparently the A4s had actually reached 130, 145 on some at some points, hadn't they? They had said that BR drivers had mentioned that they got it further than actually 125.
Yeah, it just doesn't count unless you've got the measuring. Unless you've got official measuring, it doesn't count. Yeah. There was another story I heard about a 9F, where because 9Fs they're built for power, not speed. But that doesn't mean they can't do speed. It's a bit of a myth that they can't do speed, and they probably shouldn't do speed. But it doesn't mean they can't. And I heard a story about a driver who was basically the loco that was meant to haul it, which was a express passenger loco, had failed. And the only thing on shed was this 9F, and so they basically said, take the 9F down there, get the run done, and we'll just make sure you get enough time to take it easy.
Yeah.
And apparently he made it in near record time. And he gets to the end of the station. It might have been, I can't remember if it's King's Cross somewhere. He gets to the end station, and the guy at the other end says, "You weren't supposed to break all the records. Just take it easy." He's like, "I wasn't even looking. I was just the loco was just when you get into a loco, you'll know better because you've driven the real ones. But when they the way that I heard it described is they gallop. Once you get them balanced out correctly and they're just going, they gallop, and it's just they just go. And he said that was basically what happened to this 9F. It just it just all the conditions were right, and this thing just flew down the line.
God, that must have been incredible seeing that happen. Because I mean, we do non-stops with our 9F Black Prince at North Norfolk, and just doing a non-stop with it is fantastic. Just seeing it.
9Fs are gorgeous.
Oh,
all the wheels.
Yeah. No, I've driven Black Prince, and it's a dream to drive. Absolutely dream.
I'm slightly jealous now. I'm cutting him off the call. No, it's an impressive loco. I don't like the crusty one where they put the steam in the chimney in the middle. That just upsets me.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, and just the weird things on the side of the boiler. Where it just it goes like that.
What is this? It's a Frankenstein of a steam engine.
It's a bit like those Italian ones, isn't it, as well?
Mm.
Italian acrosties.
Just having a look at the chat. What's everyone asking? What's everyone asking on the chat? Ask questions, folks.
Yeah.
We're having a great conversation, but you're here too.
Yeah.
I ain't broke the steam engine yet either. Win.
Yeah. Oh, Ralph has asked, will the BR 155, 143 and 185 had LZB in TSW2?
It's not on the roadmap. That's the kind of thing that you'll find on the roadmap as and when it's going to happen. That'll be one of the things that could potentially come under the preserved crew remit. But as at this point in time, again, it's not on the roadmap, so no. You're looking forward to the new TS2021 with Euston, Birmingham, New Street, are you, Artful? Me too.
Does look fun. Mr. JMB says, the cab interactive, can you drive from footplate? You can, yes.
Yes, you can. Unfortunately, you can. So I can. What I can't do is look around because I've got some head tracking software installed, and it's getting in the way because I forgot to remove it before I started the stream. So I can't actually pan around the camera. Hence why I'm driving outside. But yes, you can drive inside. The same with Train Sim World. All the controls are operable. So if I want to operate switch that off, then you can go ahead and play with levers and do all sorts of things to your heart's content.
Yeah. If you want a real one, if you want a steam loco that has so many buttons to play with, it's unbelievable. Bossman Games Black 5.
Oh, gorgeous.
That
is a treat.
Projectors. Yeah.
It's really good, but what I will say is don't be afraid by it. Because I know some people it's super realistic, it's going to be so much harder. I actually didn't find it any real harder to drive than any other steam engine. So don't fear it, enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Baked Bean Kid, you're afraid of it, the loco bites. Baked Bean Kid, you just get back to your 3F and do a nice bit of shunting, yeah? Baked Bean Kid loves the shunting.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a shunting special just for Baked Bean Kid.
Just have a yard full of wagons and you got to go, right, I've got to get that one out of that set, even though it's right in the middle and you've got 50 wagons either side of it. You know?
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah.
Your train consists of 4 wagons. Unfortunately, they're at the back of different sidings.
Yeah.
Will the preserved trains in TS2020 have immersion controls in the future? So all trains have immersion controls in service mode. What they don't have is immersion controls in their own scenarios, and that's because the scenarios were authored, written with the controls that they had at the time, the classic controls in mind, which means that they will say, for example, press this button on your controller to do this, press this button on your controller to do that. Well, if you're using a different control setup, then those instructions aren't going to work, and it's just going to confuse and mislead, which is why it puts you back on tutorials and scenarios to classic mode. But service mode, it won't do that. Service mode is fine. What's the highest speed record for an HST? Oh,
Yeah.
I used to know this. It's like 140 something, isn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say 140. I mean, something I was learning about the other day is they actually had a hybrid where they had a HST at one end and a Class 91 at the other when they were testing the 91s before the sets came out. Apparently, they used to fly on the East Coast Main Line because, they couldn't. Basically, if you left the engine running, without any power on, the engines used to blow up because I think the oils and stuff used to, turn around in the engine. So basically what they did was they thought, right, we'll have to turn the power on the HST. So you can imagine you've got a 91 with that much horsepower and then you've got a HST at the back assisting. That must have been quite crazy.
Yeah, that's not hanging around, is it?
No. I think the 91s have something like 4,000 horsepower, and the HSTs have something like 2,000. So you had about 6,000 horsepower at a handle. Quite incredible.
Crucible says the world record for the fastest diesel-powered train at a speed of 148 miles per hour was set by a HST on the 1st November 1987, while descending Stoke Bank with a test run for a new type of bogie for use on Mark IV coaches. Run was led by 43102 and trailed by 43159. There you go, 148 miles an hour. I said 140 something. That's a win.
Yeah. Oh, Generation EDM. What's the oldest EMU in operation in the UK? That's a good one.
Well, the steam rail motor's still in operation, isn't it? It did cut.
Yeah. But that's technically a new build, though.
Oh, is that a new build? I thought, okay.
Yeah. I'm sure it's technically a new build.
I don't know what the oldest one is. I know that I think East Lancs have a 110.
Yeah.
I don't know how old they are. They're old. They're older than me, that means they're ancient. Island Line class 483. Electric multiple unit, but yeah, the 483 goes back a few, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The Volks Railway, yeah, in Brighton.
No, yeah, no, I didn't think of that one. No, that's a good one.
Oh, question said EMU. Oh, fair enough. So my steam rail motor was utter nonsense then, basically.
Yeah. I thought it was, eh?
I heard multiple unit. My brain listens to the bit it's interested in and ignores the rest.
Yeah.
My wife loves that aspect of me, by the way. Oh, 7 miles to Peterborough. Not far now till Peterborough. I'm curious as to where my chuffing's gone. It's not long now for the 483s are gone from Isle of Wight, is it?
No, they're replacing them. Well, they're replacing them with other London Underground stock, aren't
Yep.
they? They're replacing them with the Metropolitan stock.
Yeah, so if you haven't been on a ride with the 483s, your time is running out.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of work because they've got to change all the tunnels as well, haven't they?
Yes, because it's subsurface stock, isn't it?
Yeah. So you've got to do a lot of playing about. And obviously the Isle of Wight, the actual steam side of the Isle of Wight as well, is looking at hopefully, doing some work with putting basically on their main line as well. Looking at.
Right. How is the development of steamers for TSW2 at the moment? There's nothing I can share on that at the moment, steam trains. It's not on the roadmap. No date yet for the first D stock to arrive. No, I've seen photographs of the first one. John Stuart Robson lives close to Peterborough.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you haven't been to the Nene Valley Railway, that's just down around the corner from Peterborough Station as well.
Yeah.
We go over it, in fact, on the main line.
Yeah. Plenty of different varieties of locomotives there, all different parts of the world.
Yeah, crazy different parts of the world. It's much more of an international theme on the Nene Valley Railway.
Yeah.
The one that always stands out for me in my memory is Gordon, the big blue engine.
Yeah.
I can never remember what it is, but it's not a British engine.
Oh, you mean Seven Valleys Dub D?
Is that what it is?
Yeah, Gordon's Austerity Dub D 210. Yeah.
Oh, is that not at the Nene Valley anymore?
No, it was. I never was at the Nene Valley unless it was visiting. It must have
just been a visiting one of those things. There were all the time I was looking at the Nene Valley. It was there, and it turns out I was only looking at it briefly.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's in the engine house at Seven Valley.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
I haven't been to the Severn Valley in a long time. Actually, no, 3 or 4 years ago we went up to one of the galas. I had a meet up with a bunch of people from my stream. We had a bloody good time, actually.
Yeah. Question: have you slept on the train and doing the overnight Seven Valley trains?
No.
I have.
I'm too hyped when I'm near trains. I can't sleep.
If anybody has the chance to do overnight trains, do it. It's great. It was so much fun.
How does it work?
So the Seven Valley Railway runs basically for 48 hours non-stop.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they do a gala in the autumn. So they will start at sort of 5-6 o'clock in the morning on a Friday and won't stop until 7-8 o'clock that night on the Sunday.
Yeah, I've been there during the steam galas. Oops, I missed the AWS. I guess we're stopping now.
Yeah.
Yes, we've been. I've been there for some of the galas. We used to have the cafeteria at Bewdley, and
Yeah,
right on
yeah.
the end of the cafeteria, there's like a room, and we used to haul out there, showing off train simulators, as you do.
Nice. Yep.
I think we went there about 4 times.
Yeah. Oh, Alfie Green says, "Do you have a favourite A4?" For me, it's got to be Bitten, and the only reason why it would be Bitten for me is basically I had a footplate ride on it. I was lucky enough to be at Barrow Hill at the right place at the right time, and just even on that short section at Barrow Hill, just to feel the power of an A4 is, the actual firebox door was shaking every time we opened it. I was like, that's incredible. It's such a lovely A4 as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What's your favourite A4?
I don't really have the only A4 that I have any kind of connection with is Union of South Africa, and that's just because of because I have spent historically a fair bit of time at the Severn Valley Railway doing a dealers of diesel cars, and obviously USA is based at or is at least used to be based at Severn Valley.
Yeah. It is, yeah.
And I worked on a Microsoft train simulator add-on called Severn Valley Railway with Blue Arrow, and spent a lot of time driving the Union of South Africa up and down the line. So
yeah. Sadly, it's not going to be around on the main line, it isn't on the main line anymore now. It's only Heritage Railways only now.
Yeah.
In South Africa.
I think Nigel's getting refitted at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, Nigel's having an overhaul at the moment, yeah. And Generation EDMers have, do we have a favourite LU stop? I think for me it'll probably be Met 1. I know it's not electric, but Met 1, I've just always liked it.
I missed another AWS.
Oh.
I keep forgetting that there's no audible alarms when you're external on Train Sim.
Yeah.
I'm used to on Train Sim World now. I get all the alarms I want. Never mind.
Oh, slippage.
What? Slippage just means you're trying too hard. Western Champion, your mate's dad organises the diesel galas at Severn Valley. Nice.
Nice.
As actually someone in the company that was there was a bit of a company outing actually several years ago now on it was it was like one of these rail tour things. And on one of the legs of the run was an A4 back down to King's Cross.
Wow.
And one of the guys that used to work, in fact it was the Bossman Games, used to work at Dovetail Games, has really good connections because he used to work with some of these rail tour companies. In fact, I think he still does. And he was able to talk to the support crew and walk them through the tender into the cab while they were doing speed. And
wow.
I hadn't been able to go to that trip, unfortunately, because I had home commitments. And one of them very kindly took a video from the cab and sent it to me.
Oh, I bet
of an A4 barreling down the East Coast main line, basically of these two holding on for dear life, because one of the things that you don't see it in the sim, because in the sim the train is pretty much stationary. Yeah. But in reality, these things are bucking all over the place.
Yeah, they do.
It's really, really. I say it's going to stop now on its own. I don't care. It's actually really difficult. It's a real challenge to hold on while these things are going along, and you don't appreciate how much movement there is inside the cab. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It was. I was very grateful for them for rubbing that one in my face.
Yeah.
That's a cool trip. I'm really pleased for them. It was a really, really cool trip. But
They're very, very lucky to be able to do it, especially at speed as well.
Mm. The A4 Class A4 gathering at York. No, I didn't get to go to that, Aidan.
No.
I enjoyed lots of the pictures that came out of it, but I didn't actually go and get to see it. Same as I think that previously there's been similar ones for Deltics and things like that. I like to see the pictures of them, but can AWS actually stop a steam loco in real life? Yes, it can.
Yes, yeah.
It kind of has to. That's the point of it.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't do the A4 Gate gathering, but what I did was the Barrow Hill gathering, where we had Dominion of Canada, Diva Eisenhower, Bitten, and Blue Peter all in the same place.
Oh, Blue Peter, very nice.
Yeah.
Right, let me switch over to the next route. Put it on the pause screen briefly.
Yeah.
And we'll travel. We're going to travel at the speed of near light to Australia.
Oh, wow.
This is called the Villeneuve branch. This is the version 2 using the Virtual Railroads tracks from the... I can't remember the name of the route. I just remember... It begins with a K. One of the recent Virtual Railway roads routes. So it's the updated version of that. It's basically... I think it's a fictional route based around Queensland, where in reality the route would be a 3'6" gauge route. Constance-Villingen, that's the one, Flying Scotsman. So in reality the route would be a 3'6" gauge route, but he's laid it with standard track. The author is Brad Bradillo, and so I'm just going to be running a BR 105, a BR Class 105, but as you'll see, the route's got some really, really pretty scenery in it. I've not actually seen this version 2 of it. It's extended from the original one. I haven't run this one, Baked Bean Kid, I don't think. I think I ran the original one on my stream. Is there a train that could hug the rails at over 500 miles an hour? There is a train that has done 500 kilometres an hour. Do you know which one it is?
TGV.
Yeah, the TGV V150.
Yeah.
Which was an experimental train, basically because Alstom wanted to prove that you didn't need to use maglev technology to get 500 kilometers an hour. That traditional rail could do it, and so they did as what was I think at the time not released yet or not launched yet, the LGV East. And so they ran this thing, and there's videos. This thing doing 574 kilometers an hour or something stupid.
Yeah. Just like 336, I think it was. Something like that. Yeah.
Absolutely stunning.
Yeah. I mean, it's quite incredible because you see the speed that it's doing, and it's like you blink for 1 second, it's gone. You know, it wasn't hanging about. I mean, I've been lucky enough to go on a TGV, and even at the speeds near 200, wow. I mean, that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I was able to get involved with the when they were doing HS1, and they were launching they were doing the safety tests for the Eurostars.
Yeah.
And at the time where I worked, one of my colleagues' mum was one of the senior safety management, who was actually organising all of the safety side of things. And so they set out the idea was what they wanted to test specifically was the escapes through the if a train fails in one of the Tunnel 1 or Tunnel 2, either side of Stratford International, what the process is and what the headaches would be evacuating a full 700 and some odd passengers from one Eurostar to another.
Wow.
And so basically they set out, they got 2 Eurostars sat in St Pancras Station. The one Eurostar left ahead of us. Everyone in full-on party mode, because that's kind of how these things rock apparently, is on the Eurostar waiting to go, and then we head off out. We get into Tunnel 1, and we're all warned about what's going to happen, but the alarms sound and the train does an emergency stop in the tunnel. Look at this scenery, it's fantastic.
Wow.
And so we then have to, in single file, evacuate the train basically through one door, So everyone just coming off one door, then walking down this is going down the little footpaths along the side, the shelves along the side. Go through, because actually, even though there's 2 tunnels, there's a central bore as well. So you go through the central bore out to the other side, climb on the other Eurostar. That Eurostar then heads off once everyone's on and safe to Tunnel 2, where they did exactly the same thing. Emergency brake, stopped, where the other train had now arrived waiting for us, and we evacuated back onto the original train. Then they went down to just before where it basically to the extent of before it became Network Rail area. I can't remember the name of the place now. And then the driver literally got off, walked to the other end of the train, got back on again, and he drove us back to St Pancras. And that, I think, was the first time they had the public on a 300km/h train in the UK.
Wow. Amazing.
That was good fun.
Very good fun. Yeah, because the Eurostars originally came out of Waterloo and had to follow the original route, didn't they? All the way down.
Yep.
Tor Deck has asked, have I ever been on a Shinkansen? No, I haven't. No. I think it's probably on one of those long lists of railways and locomotives you all want to go on. And it gets ever longer.
Talk to Adam about Adam Lucas when you see him on one of the future streams. Adam loves the Japanese railways, and he went out there and he's been on lots of Shinkansens, so he can talk to you all about Shinkansens. I'm a bit jealous of that as well. He's got some awesome photographs.
Yeah.
Look at this, I love this. I just remember from when I last saw it. I mentioned this a couple of times, just this attention to detail some people have with mismatching and abusing different scenic things to create little bridges and things that they're not actually a model as such, but they make do essentially by making other things.
Yeah.
But you instantly know you're not in the UK. It doesn't even feel like I'm in the US because of the foliage doesn't really feel US. It definitely feels like I'm somewhere new. We're not in Kansas anymore, Toto.
Yeah, it definitely looks different. You're just waiting for a humongous spider to just come out from somewhere.
Yeah, a big spider will come out and everyone will panic, and then some Australian will say, it's a little one.
Yeah. You should see them in the big country. I don't know what happened there.
One of the team, one of my production team, he went to Australia a few years back, and while he was in the bathroom, and just as he was about to come out, he saw there was a huntsman spider, quite a large one, to you or me, a large one, on the wall, and after he'd finished and calmed himself down. Because he's not a fan of spiders, just like many of us. He managed to do the obligatory selfie with a spider. And then after he left, he told the lady he was with, his mate's mum, about the spider in the bathroom. And she came out and looked, and literally it was, that's a baby. At which point I think he got on a plane.
Okay, okay, I'm off.
Yeah. Let me just show the map actually of this thing. So there you go. That was the quick view of the map. This is the map. So this is the main line up here. Oh, sorry, the branch line's coming up here, and then you've got the main line. So from the original version to this version 2, this is one of the main areas that's been added to. There's quite a lot now on the main line, and main line's electrified. But then you've got this windy branch line that goes all the way up over here. So it's quite a substantial route. And with lots of opportunity. I mean, it really looks nice with a bit of steam, but having done steam initially, I didn't want to do steam again for this section, because you know what, diesels are nice too. But yeah, it runs nicely with a bit of steam, but until there's appropriate stock for it, use your imagination, make it what you want to make it. I think the author uses British stock on it, judging by his screenshots. A nice route for Bossman's Turkish AF. Yes.
Yeah. Or the S160s.
The S160s. Yeah. Yeah, do the Russian or Chinese S160 or something like that.
Yeah.
Daytona, this is a 105. Count the windows. But yes, you're right. 101s are lovely too. 101s are one of my favourite class of DMU. Obviously, after the almighty Pacer. Look at this. This is gorgeous. Absolutely stunning. See, this is where I would be cruising along nice and slow with a 3F.
Yeah.
That
Even
would be
the
lovely.
signals look fantastic. Like
Yeah.
the semaphores.
So yeah, this route is Villeneuve. If you search for Villeneuve, you'll find that there are two versions. This is the one that's marked as VR Track 2 or something like that. It's the newer version. Alright, where are we going? We're going straight through. Good, good.
I mean, you've got 3801s now back as well.
Yeah.
Australia. And if you're wondering what 3801 is, it's basically the equivalent of Flying Scotsman for Australia, basically.
Unfortunately, as I said before, I can't turn the view, so this is as much of an interior view as I can give you. I apologise. Let me go this way round. No, I can't turn the view. Ah! This is annoying. I forgot to uninstall that bit of software before I fired up Train Sim tonight. Victor's John Hoster, you play Train Sim World on an Xbox. You can't play Train Simulator. This one doesn't work on an Xbox. No, this is PC only. What's your favourite route, Jamie?
What's my favourite route?
In the game.
I would probably say it's either got to be between. I've been playing either the Gotthard Barn
Lovely.
or one of the RHB routes, but I'm not entirely sure which one because I haven't played all of them yet, so I haven't picked out a favourite. But I love the loops in the Gotthard Barn. You know, the looping tunnel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the I think one of my favourites has always been the Albula because of the loops and the way it twists and rounds over itself, and it's really interesting. Can I blow the horn?
Yeah. Oh.
There you go. There's horn. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to go up the Albula all the way and do the part of the Bernina as well. I've done steam as well as electric Crocs and things like that. You know.
See, Crocs. I love Crocs.
Yeah.
They are proper trains.
Yeah.
Second only to Pacers, obviously.
And it's hard to believe that they're coming up to 100 years old now.
Yes. Although not too hard when you look inside them and you think, wow, yeah, that's 100 years old.
Yeah.
What's my favourite route, King George? It depends what I want to do. So Southeastern High Speed is one of my favourite routes. It's my local route because I like the mix of things. The fact that you do a bit of high speed and then you do the power changeover, which again is interesting, and then you do the regionals. So I really enjoy that aspect of Southeastern High Speed. Over in America, I like something like New York, New Haven. It's always been one of my favourite passenger routes. Or Donna Pass is probably my favourite American freight route. And then steam area in the UK would be something like either Weardale or Western Lines of Scotland. I like all routes, basically. People ask me, what's your favourite route? And 10 minutes later, I've finished naming all of the routes.
Yeah, that's very true. There's a route for everything, you know. You depends on what you want.
It depends what you're in a mood for doing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, because, you know, sometimes high speed is exactly what I want to do, and sometimes it really isn't.
Yeah.
What I want is a steam engine at 10 miles an hour is perfect.
Yeah.
But sometimes, Marseille to Lyon at 300 kilometres an hour is spot on the money for what you want to do.
Yeah. And if you want to do like a Norfolk branch where you got like the 37s on a short set, if you want to have fun with that, that's good fun.
Geordie Caddy, have you ever thought of doing a disused line that doesn't exist anymore? There are plenty of those. Western Lines of Scotland is a disused line that doesn't exist anymore. The line was shut down, and actually, as it stands right now, the line was shut down as far as there's a junction near Stranraer, and the line turns left now and goes up to Ayr. Instead of going, it used to go, in addition, it used to head down to Dumfries and Carlisle. So that's one, and then there's the Weardale and Teesdale line, which a lot of it doesn't exist anymore. It is massively cut back these days. That route is sort of as it was in BR Green days, so it's considerably more to it.
Yeah. The other example is the Woodhead.
Of course, yes.
Yeah. Which, when you think of the Woodhead, was very, very ahead of its time as well. The electric locos.
Yeah, and those 76s and 77s, they're good fun to drive.
Yeah.
There is a BR Blue Woodhead, Woodhead and BR Blue, I think the route is called, which has got the latest setup and physics on the 76 or 7, one of the two. And yeah, super fun. But on the subject of interesting electrics, I like driving the 86 and the 87. The tap change ones. Those are really good fun. On something like West Coast Mainline over Shap or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I was lucky enough to see the tail end of their passenger duties in East Anglia.
Yeah, well, I'm from Stowmarket in Suffolk, so we had basically we had the joke of in Stowmarket was that we got everyone else's cast-offs.
Yes, we did. Yeah, we have,
because the 86s came from the I think the Euston line. The 91s came from the Euston line.
Yeah. I think for the first time we've actually got brand new trains. It seems good. It seems rather
uncanny.
Weird.
It does seem weird.
Yeah.
It's like they're going to take them away once they realise the mistake they've made.
Yeah.
Hopefully Pacers will come instead. No, the new trains actually. These new. Have you been on the new ones?
Yes.
They're gorgeous,
I was lucky enough. Yeah, I was lucky enough to go on them when they were first sort of coming to service. Because I used to commute in for university, so I used to commute in with them, and there was such an upgrade. I mean, from a one,
from a Mark III.
well, from a Mark III, from my line, on the Bitten line, we had 156s.
Oh my word!
Scuds, the 153s. The 153s were awful, and when you had an upgrade from a 153 to a
745 or something.
To the flirts was just wow. I mean, you actually had air comms. What is this mysterious thing that's blowing air in my?
I mean, basically anything is an upgrade from 153. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, a pump cart is better than a 153.
153. Yeah.
They're not called dog boxes because they're the greatest train in existence. Do you think Train Sim World trains from the old game should be in the livery designer in the new game? That would be great, but there's a lot of challenges to making that happen. That is not a press a button, make it happen type job, Daniel. So that may be something that the Preserve Collection team can look at. I'm slightly concerned I'm giving the Preserve Collection team lots of work to do here, but it's one of those things that as and when it appears on a roadmap, then it's something to look forward to. But it would be good, but there's a reason it's not. It is quite a lot of work. Essentially, the whole model has to be retextured, which is a lot. Terry Butler, favourite route for steam is Riviera line in the 50s. Yes, that's another really nice one.
That's a lovely route, yeah. And it's amazing when you play because you actually realise and you actually see it today it's amazing to see that really actually not much has really changed. There's obviously some branches that have closed.
Well, how much has and how much hasn't? I mean, it's one
Yeah.
of the nice things. It's the only route in Train Simulator, as far as I can recall, where you can drive it in past and present.
Yeah.
Because Riviera Line Modern, there's Riviera Modern and there's Riviera Line in the 50s, which means that you can actually drive it in the 50s, then drive it in the modern, and you can contrast and compare the two together,
Yeah.
which is actually, I always quite enjoy looking at the history of various railways, looking at the scars they leave behind on Google Earth and things like that, but actually comparing how, like you said, some things, it's amazing how much hasn't changed, and similarly, you know, how much has been lost.
Yeah.
Is it possible to convert Riviera in the 50s to TSW2? So no routes can be converted to TSW2 steam trains, unfortunately. It's because the data, it's all kept in a different format, and in fact, even the maths used for the track, particularly for the curves, is different. So even if you could take the track across, it would look wrong. It just wouldn't, or it wouldn't join up. Let alone the fact that it's a completely different game engine. So no, there's no way you can convert routes from one to the other. Would I like to see Riviera Line in the 50s and TSW2? Now that's a different question. Yes, obviously.
There's all the weathered castles and keys blasting along it, like 50cc line. Like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Totally. And you know, that view around Dawlish.
Well,
I have a sneaky suspicion I have a junction set wrong somewhere up here. Yep. Got 10 kilometres left. What route is this? Steam Diesel Electric Railroad Museum. This is the Villeneuve branch line. Villeneuve Valley branch, I think. You can get it on Steam Workshop. The same with the previous route we did, which was BR's ECML to Peterborough by Simon MD. This one is Villeneuve Valley branch on by Bradlow. Was it the buffers that gave it? Sorry, Baked Bean Kid. What? He's having to go at me because I threatened him with shunting earlier on.
oh dear.
It's not too bad though, because he hasn't started telling bad jokes yet.
Oh dear.
Why is the NEC not getting added to Train Sim World 2? It's oh, did the buffer? Yes, I see what you mean. Yes, it was Baked Bean Kid. Yeah, it's like the railway's running out. That's not good. So there's some problems with the compatibility with the trains mostly on the Northeast Corridor, and the performance of them. There's some of the original trains that were taken out of Sandpatch Grade, and they haven't had the upgrade work that Sandpatch Grade has received. Which is why, even though there are older routes like Great Western that have come across, it's because kind of it leapfrogged effectively. This has got older locos in it than even something like Great Western has got, which was newer than older than NEC. That probably makes no sense whatsoever, but there is rhyme and reason there, buried in behind my waffle. I'm really enjoying this route. This is it's good.
It does look so nice.
And it's got some really interesting gradients. I mean, I'm full power at the moment. I'm trying to get up this one in 36 gradient, so it's not a sleepy route either. You've got to kind of look at what you're doing.
Yeah.
Which is always my favourite route. I will take bland scenery if the driving experience is interesting. But this is not bland scenery. This is gorgeous.
Yeah.
It
With the
needs
gradients in both. Yeah.
It's got coos, Baked Bean Kid. Make do. Pretend they're kangaroos. A coo and a kangaroo are almost the same set of letters.
That would actually make for a good scenario. Mind out for the kangaroos.
Absolutely beautiful.
The lighting's nice as well.
Sorry?
Lighting's nice as well.
Yeah.
On the yeah.
Yeah. There's some nice, niceness. I think there's a fairly comprehensive list of dependencies to make this route work. But again, the thing with the dependencies is because sometimes routes and content that you want on Steam Workshop will use content that you don't necessarily want to buy specifically for that content, and the sales are the best time to pick that stuff up. You know, if it's look at the stuff that you want on Steam Workshop, and if you can't use it because you need 2 or 3 add-ons, just wait for the sales to come around and then snatch them up at a price that you're happy with. Then you also get those routes to play with, and you might be surprised. You might enjoy them a lot more.
Yeah.
Sorry, you were saying?
And there's a sale on now.
There's a sale on now?
Yes.
Well, I never. What is the sale at the moment? What's it covering?
I think it's core games. I think there is other bits as well. I can't remember. There is a sale on TS.
There you go. Make sure you go and have a look on Steam.
Yeah.
What DMU am I driving today, Sir Liv? This is a BR Green Class 105. Vane, will there ever be a chance of multiplayer? There's been lots of discussions about multiplayer in Train Sim World. I'd say multiplayer in Train Simulator is probably unlikely. Train Sim World, there is the potential for future to have multiplayer. It is not on the roadmap yet, and everyone knows by now what that means. But yes, there's definitely discussions about multiplayer and what it means and what it should do, what it shouldn't do, and more importantly, how the heck we do it. Lons, so you're buying both then?
Someone's a baked bean kid has asked, what are the differences between class 101, 105, 111, 117?
Run away, go on, take it away.
I'm not actually, because diesels is not my strong point. Steam is mainly my strong point. So
101 narrow 3 windows, 105 narrow big 2 windows, 111 can't remember, 117 tall 3 windows. There you go. I'm sure there's other differences that are slightly more sensible than that, but
Stream Trains and Limited was a class 105 in Australia as well. No, there wasn't. No. They did have HSTs though. They did have our HSTs at one point.
Yeah, they borrowed the design, didn't they? Borrowed.
And they've also had Flying Scotsman and I think it was Caerphilly Castle?
Yeah.
Over there, Caerphilly, yeah. And we also sent over to Australia, I think it was in Class 04s, GC Class 04s, converted to tank engines. So we built some locos that went over there, but
Class 111 DMUs were based on the 101s but with different engines. The only external body difference was on the final batch of cars, where a 4-character headcoat box was fitted above the front cab windows with a destination indicator on top of a reduced height centre window. There you go. I had this vague feeling the 101 with a 111 looked very similar to a 101, but I couldn't place it. It's because there used to be a 111 in the game.
Someone said it's Pendennis Castle, yes. Yeah. I was trying to remember which castle it was.
Pendennis Castle! That sticks in my memory. Moggy, why does that stick in my memory?
Oh, wait for it.
What's my green screen cab today? No idea. Let me have a look. 415. 4 EPB. Has Moggy gone to sleep?
He might, I'm not sure. We haven't had a response yet.
I'll throw that one wide open to train simmers who have been around train simulation for a very long time. I've been informed you blew up Pendennis. I've blown every steam engine up. That's nothing new, Moggy. Pendennis Castle is of particular importance or memory to anyone who's been in train simulation for a long time, because it was one of the other locomotives in Microsoft Train Simulator. One of the ones that was not drivable, except until you learned how the eng files worked and made it drivable.
Oh, that was when you had to... Was that the one you had to rescue at the Scotsman? Or I think another one.
At Ribblehead.
Yeah, I remember.
It was suitably daft scenario activity, as they were called back then.
It was on Settle and Carlisle, I think. Wasn't it? Yeah.
Yes, MSTS was the Settle and Carlisle.
Yeah.
Happy days. I look at what we have now in a train simulator, though, and it just blows me away. It really does.
It's amazing, and you think when realistically it's what 20 years now, 19 years since
2001
MSTS?
it came out. MSTS.
Yeah.
The Australian F-Class diesel shunter is based on the Class 08. Yeah, in fact, in a Class 08 pack that's no longer available on Steam, there was actually a broad gauge Victoria Railways version of the Class 08 in there as well, along with a broad gauge route. But that pack is no longer available. So, but yeah, that was interesting. A broad gauge 08. It had the Dutch version of the 08 in there as well. The Hippel.
Yeah.
Up the Junction. That's the one, Flying Scotsman. Up the Junction. It had all the variations of the everything that isn't a Class 08, like the 9, the 10, the 11, 13s. Yeah. Always like the 13s. They're really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we've got a Class 11 that's Norfolk Railway's never been overhauled in its entire... I think it's only had one sort of like repair, but it's never been overhauled ever since it left BR. It's always been...
Nah, Gronks don't need it, they just keep on trucking.
Yeah.
They're like pacers.
I think every Heritage Railway's now put their bids in for one. Oh, well, I have one pay up.
I think a lot of Heritage Railways have got at least 3, haven't they?
Yeah, yeah. I think the Keillerworth Valley have been swamped by them. They've been dumped there for the moment. Seems strange to know that the Class 08 is still around in Britain on private companies. Yes, they are.
Yeah.
There actually, realistically, hasn't been a new shunter to take over from the Gronks really ever since, has there?
No. Nope.
Really.
I thought I heard someone saying at some point they were actually looking at doing a refresh on the 08 and putting different insides in them, modernising them a bit. But I don't know if I was just dreaming that, because I dream strange things.
Unless they change them to hydrogen, possibly. Probably take a lot of work.
Well, they've done worse. I mean, they massacred 47s.
Yeah. Body snatchers.
The body snatchers, yeah.
Yeah.
Hybrid 08 was a thing. I thought I heard something about that, Crucible.
Yeah.
Because the chassis and the platform is a perfectly serviceable unit. All they need to do is change the motor's power on it and make it a little bit less, environmentally problematic.
Yeah. Five trains just put a pantograph on an 08. It'd be interesting to see that.
This is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Absolutely superb. 2.5 kilometres to go. We're nearly there. Moggy is dancing, put that idea in my head. Yeah, I know. It's all Moggy's fault.
Yeah. be like one of the steam shunters that in Germany that had a pantograph on the top.
Well, the Swiss do run steam engines with pantographs, don't they?
Do they?
Well, I don't know, they might not now, but
Yeah, I think yeah. I can't remember if it was a German or a Swiss logo, but they did. Yeah, they did have pantographs.
because I remember in the early days when we were doing the designs for, we were talking about what we could do with Train Sim World. Look at the gradient. Wow. We're looking at the designs for what you could do with Train Sim World and Simulgraph. You know, I was trying to explain it to people that because it's a kit of parts, you know, you drag and drop various components in, and it's, you know, you could have like a you've got a diesel engine and a fuel tank and a brake valve and all this stuff. And I said, if you imagine that you've got an electric train, you drag and drop a pantograph in, and a steam train with the boiler in it. But instead of doing what you'd normally do with a steam train, you put a heating element in, wire it up to the pantograph. You can have an electric powered steam engine. And of course, everyone said, "But yeah, except no one would obviously want to do that." And so I showed them the photographs.
Yeah.
Never say never on railways. Everything has been done.
It's been tried, tested.
It's like jet engines on bubble cars, which the Americans tried. Giant propellers on bubble cars, which the Germans tried.
Yeah.
That jet engine, the Black Beetle, was amazing. You know, it wasn't an engineer that that operated the Black Beetle. It was a pilot.
Ah.
Actually, a jet fighter pilot is who was in charge of flying the Black Beetle.
Yeah, it's amazing what sort of technologies they all try out. You know. Then you got the turbomotives and things like that.
Yeah.
They look like a steam loco, but actually don't look anything. It's just like a, you know.
No, again, Victory Works did a really, really nice model of the gas turbine, the British gas turbine, which is really good. That one's on Steam as well. Oh, I'm dropping lots of hints for things on Steam, but hey, it's all awesome, so...
Yeah.
Then there was the American gas turbine, the GTEL, which I think is in Sherman Hill. If I remember rightly, it's Sherman Hill you need to get the gas turbine. That thing's a beast, with flames flying out the top and everything.
Yeah.
Rounding the corner. I mean, what you've seen here, we've been driving for a while on this route, and we've only seen a bit of it.
Yeah.
This is a huge route. Absolutely stunning. And basically, the author's plan on this route now is he's actually stopped work on this version of the route, and he's doing another version now with 3'6" gauge track. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on with that.
That'd be interesting. Yeah, I look forward to it.
Yeah, the Saint is a really good pack, King George.
I'll try that one. It's one I haven't tried out yet.
Oh, it's lovely. Stop! Dang it! Trying to do a gentle stop and...
Yeah.
But yes, make sure you get the version 2 of this route. I mean, the original version is very good, but this version 2 is steps above. Bradillo, the author, has really done a nice job. So that's the end of the routes today, folks. So the first route we saw was BR's ECML to Peterborough by Simon MD. And then there was this one, which was the Villeneuve Valley branch by Bradillo. So what do you think, Jamie? All good?
Yeah, I like the very lovely routes. Very well done. Yeah.
So yeah, we'll try and we'll be. I think we're back next week, aren't we? For some more Workshop Wednesday stuffs. So we'll see what we can pick up for next week. All right, folks. This has run on possibly a bit longer than was originally intended, but never mind. This is the name of the route, by the way. Villeneuve Valley Branch VR Tracks V2. That's what you need to look for when you look for it on Steam. All right, folks. Take care and ignore my spads. They didn't really count. All right. Take care, everybody.
Yeah. See you later. Bye.
Bye bye.